Welcome to Percolating Change, the podcast where we brew better outcomes one sip at a time. Today I am with Ute Diversi, and Ute is here to talk about the psychology of project success and relationships as the launching pad. I'm excited to speak to Ute about this, but firstly let me tell you a little bit about Ute. Ute is a highly experienced human resources, organisational change and learning development specialist with over 30 years expertise across multiple industries and holds a Master's of Organisational Psychology and a Bachelor of Psychology. She's also a PRISM practitioner in brain mapping and an Agile transformation specialist whose passion is applying neuroscience and neuropsychology in the workplace. Welcome, Ute.
Thank you, Alicia.
Give me, Ute, as is typical on this podcast, give us your one statement hook to set the coffee table.
Yes, relationships first, the task will follow.
I love that. Relationships first, the task will follow. Ute, who's this for and why now?
This is really for everyone involved in projects, like right down from the CEO to, then the project sponsor, the senior leadership team, the decision makers, project manager, project staff, business owners, like anyone and everyone working on the project team.
Love that. Love that. Could you then perhaps give us a couple of examples why you say relationships first and the task will follow? I absolutely do make sense to me, but if you could explain for our audience, that would be great.
Yes, and I'm sure the two of us could come up with lots and lots of examples. But one example is relatively recent because I've seen so many projects fail due to conflict, tension, misunderstanding, and where people then just not do what they should be doing or not delivering, what they should. And this is typically because no time is taken right at the onset of the project or even program, but specifically now here project, to build a high-performing team. Now, this is a bit of a buzzword, but, to build teams that trust each other, they feel they're psychosocially safe, they can speak up, they're not going to be shot down. So I'm talking about an example where there was no upfront investment and it made our life really, really difficult because nothing had been invested in building strong and trusting relationships. We all talk about trusting relationships, and there was certainly no attention paid to the emotional bank account, and that you have to pay into it so you can actually withdraw when the times get a bit heated, when the project is under pressure. And for instance, that was the example. I joined as a change manager, part of an engagement team, a big program, but it was especially a project where, and it was a technical IT upgrade. And the project team was already put together. They had done their planning. Project plan was more or less signed off. The vendors had been decided on. The business team and the business project team and project team especially was already in place. And so I asked, of course, coming in, can I be part of the project?
Of course.
Technical meetings. And, that for both of you and I know that's a given, And I was told that I don't need to be there because it was technical and not people related. And then when I asked whether I could then at least reach out to the business enterprise person, the architect, and especially the tech guys, the vendors who built the technology platform, again, to build my relationships and to understand what was going on. And I said, no, you can't do that. And then when I sort of said, okay, boo, what about, what about at least the stakeholders, if I put myself into their shoes, have we planned any stakeholder engagement events? And I went, never even thought about that. So then, of course, what do? You have your little one-on-one coffee chats. And I worked out really quickly. There was a lot of tension, a lot of conflict. Nobody trusted anyone. They were bad-mouthing each other. It was really quite stunning. And there was just simply no time taken to build that team. And it was really, And remember, those were the people then making decisions. And you can imagine what those decisions looked like if they were making any decisions whatsoever.
Exactly.
Now, Alicia, I'd love to give you a second example.
Yes,
That I
please.
actually
Yes,
did, and
please.
what happened is I was in another organization. I walked past along the sort of floor and walked past the big conference room, and I noticed there were all of the walls were plastered with posters and visualizations and personality profiles and Gantt charts and anything and everything you can imagine. And so I popped my head in, of course, being curious, and I said, "What's going on here?" And the project manager came out and he said, "Oh, we stood up a new project and we're spending the week together to talk, to get to know each other, to meet each other, to decide together on how to run this project." And I think they had a 2 days dedicated to just simply building their team. And I thought, yep, that's exactly it, because people do not just come together to say, "Yeah, you're my best mate now," just because we're now in the same room and we have the same project plan under our noses. We all now understand each other and agree with each other, and this will go honky donkey. And yeah, so two very different approaches.
Absolutely, that resonates really deeply. That trust is the foundation of all collaboration, to be honest. And as you said, you used a phrase which I really liked, that emotional bank account, not able to invest in it, so therefore you couldn't draw down on it. And people didn't feel safe to be themselves, because it's true, once you take the time to actually get to know the team and invest in the team and get to know them personally outside. I don't mean their personal business, but you know what I mean in terms of what makes them tick. Do they like their coffee before I say good morning, or do they like their coffee when they're saying good morning? Silly little things like that. It's so important. So I really, really like that. So if people were starting tomorrow on a project, Ute, any one of those characters that you named before, what are one of the, are there 1 to 3 things that people can do to establish trust early, or to just give me your lowdown on that?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously you focus on the outcomes and the benefits you want to realize. That is the given. But at the same time, I would always look out and look for tensions. Is there funny behavior going on? Is somebody frowning when somebody says something? So definitely look out for misunderstandings or tensions. Also ask yourself where the relationship nodes are, because you do pick up quite quickly, who sits with whom, who talks to whom, who gets interrupted, who belongs to the inner circle, who's on the outer, are there any power bases, and then of course, I go and check, I typically check, is this correct? I've observed that, I check with a trusted person, or is that real? And then, of course, we sit down, we say, what do you have to do about it? Because you can't let it fester. Tensions turn into conflict.
So you get some.
Do you want me to give you another example or something else?
Yeah, sure. Just to clarify, though, you're getting someone to help broker the conversation. To make sure that what you've thought you've seen is correct. Such a fabulous idea.
Especially as we come in new, that's quite typical for us change managers. We sort of come in new and we don't know the organization. We don't really know the culture.
Yes.
So it's my sense checking.
Absolutely.
Is what I'm seeing actually what is going on.
Is correct, yeah.
And it could be the director, it could be the business owner, it could be, confidentially, if you get on with the project manager. Quite often that's unfortunately not the case that you can ask them. But then the second tip I would give or do tomorrow is treat it like agile projects. There's a reason why we now run agile projects and why they have been so successful, and that is that their social time is planned into it. We do the health check. Are we okay? How's the team going? Do we all have is somebody overloaded and drowning while others are twiddling their thumbs? It's that kind of teamwork that needs to happen, and you need to ask people if what they need, or if they need to actually understand each other better. So and if you don't have that relationship with them again, go and find somebody who can broker the relationship. We forget that there is something like a relationship management approach, available.
Yeah.
And that is definitely something, tap into other people.
And
the last tip I've got, sorry.
Just very quickly, just for anyone that's listening, how would people actually set about finding someone to help them broker that particular relationship? And they're obviously wanting to do that because it's important for them to actually get on with this person. Do you have any ideas, or it's that?
Again, I ask.
Uh-huh.
I look at the org chart, of course. I sometimes do check on LinkedIn, who's connected with whom. I check if they've worked together with someone. So I do a little bit of, intel.
Nice.
But then I definitely, again, talk to my, sometimes it's the BA, the business analysts are pretty savvy. I remember one occasion where I had a good long chat with the business architect, actually, and he knew his people around the traps. So he knew who worked well with whom and who could help out.
That's a fantastic idea. And thank you for that. Do you have a third one?
That is exactly it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Say thank you.
Yeah.
We don't do that often enough. And to help build those relationships in high-performing teams, acknowledge people. If you have your sprint reviews or whatever, mid-sprint, reviews, say thank you in project meetings. Go to the business owners and say thank you. I noticed that really helped. And almost nudge people to do the right thing and to lean on each other. And, if somebody says something that helps you build those relationships and gets people to balance out, it's about balancing out. I'm not saying you shouldn't focus on the task. It's about balancing it out.
Absolutely.
So saying thank you it's a hard currency.
It's such an important thing, Ute, and I notice it when people don't say it. I really, it's nice to see other people building up other people as well too. It has such a positive knock-on effect, doesn't it? A simple thing like, so and so helped me do X, Y, and Z. That doesn't deplete what you have contributed, but immediately that person feels, oh my goodness. That acknowledgement
we herd
is so
animals.
important.
We tend to follow role models.
Yeah.
So I've noticed it with leaders. They go, "Oh, I've just seen X, Y, Z do that. I actually might do that as well."
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. What is one thing, if there is there anything that you might do differently next time in these scenarios?
Many things come to mind, Alicia.
Just one. Just give us one.
One thing that is sort of a common, and especially in the last few years, a common theme is that I come into projects and they're already sort of flying, and I do not manage to get that team building work done. So I think I would really focus on, I'd love to say insist, but really focus on finding an opportunity to do that team building, to build trust, because it's never too late for that. And it could be around clarifying communication styles. Like you said before, don't call me before I've had my coffee. Yes. I can see it steam behind your head. Like it is, it's really go and find opportunities and don't give up on it. Like I personally like using PRISM Brain Mapping, for instance, or some kind of other tool that builds on assertiveness and collaboration, and always link it back to the project so people don't think it's airy-fairy, psych stuff.
Yes.
But definitely insist on doing that people work as part of our change management.
Yeah, I love the fact that you pointed out that it's not necessarily a clean start to anything, and it is difficult, but just to try and move it back to, let's try and build this relationship. Let's try and find out where we can start, rather than just flying along by the seat of your pants all the time. Okay, so what is one challenge, coming to the end now, thank you so much, Ute, because I know you're battling a cough there. What's one challenge to watch in the next 6 to 12 months?
I did a lot of thinking about that, and what I can see at the moment is that we're still in the post-COVID era of behavior. And if you add to that we do a lot of online meetings, like this is online now, where we have the cameras on and we're using AI to help us. But we're dealing with people who come to these meetings and they don't switch the cameras on, they don't use the chat, they don't interact. So it's not inclusive. We're not really collaborating. The same people talk. Now that is not really high performing teamwork. So I think that is one challenge for leaders, for managers, for us change managers, project managers, to learn to collaborate and to truly engage in a virtual environment. And if I may add, because I've literally just learned Microsoft Planner, and I really, not struggle is the wrong word, but I can see the challenge that Microsoft is driving now a lot of our behavior, because remember, behavior follows infrastructure, behavior follows processes, behavior follows systems, behavior follows policy, behavior follows technology. And with Planner now being part of Teams, which is a people collaboration tool, we're now back to the strong task focus. And everything gets sort of put into, gets put into task cards. And I've seen it across, the city, across my workplaces. And I think that makes it even more important for us changes to go in and to say, Teams is a collaboration tool, fantastic. We've got Planner, we've got people not really including, wanting to speak up. What can we do? We need to upskill ourselves so we can truly engage and include everyone.
When you say upskilling, you mean in the use of Planner, you mean?
Planner, Teams, hybrid, skills. Like, for instance, you notice that you and I, sorry, I hope that's okay if I bring it up. You and I, I'm not talking to you on the screen. I can see you down here. I'm talking to the camera because I know that it's much more engaging. Now, a lot of people will find that very confronting and weird. And when I watch podcasts or videos, I notice that people are talking to the people down there.
I have to tell you, I prefer that in a podcast because it's about, this is a coffee meeting, coffee chat. So I'm not talking to the camera. I'm actually talking to you.
Which is excellent, which is great. But that's one of the skills I've noticed when managers try to reach out to their people who might be all over the country or even different countries. The connection, the relationship with the people in the meeting room is definitely bigger and enhanced compared to those people who are remote and offline, like online.
Yeah, you're so right, to be honest. And the other thing is, you talked about, I don't think you used the word ground rules or whatever, but I think it's so important when we are in a meeting, a Teams meeting, that we put the camera on, because you would, if you were in the corridor at work, you wouldn't be walking around in your sunnies, your dark glasses on. You'd be saying, hi, how are you? You want a coffee? Let's catch up. That usual stuff that people do normally. And as you've rightly said, because I do like the fact that you've brought this up, because it means I've been in a workplace for ages and thinking I've known someone and never ever seen their face because they're part of a team based elsewhere, but they never switch their camera on, and it's quite bizarre. But you're right, we're still living in that pre-COVID era where you can switch it on if you want to, and whereas it'll be so much better to build a nice collaborative team if we can at least do that.
What this reminds me of, that was actually a real cracker. There was one project I was working on. We were working with people in the Antarctic.
In where, sorry?
In the Antarctic.
Antarctic, okay.
Guess in the morning stand-ups, project stand-ups, who always had the cameras on. It was those guys down south, very far down south, because they were so happy to see someone.
Oh, I know.
And they truly felt disconnected.
Yeah.
And
it's always the way.
That was such an excellent example. It always made me giggle, to be honest, because...
Yeah, but you're so right. I would be eager too if I was stuck down in the Antarctica. I'd want to put on my camera to see anybody whenever. So, but literally coming to the end, I've really enjoyed this conversation. What is the one myth you would like to bust, Ute? Just tell us.
Yes, please, let's bust the myth that you only have to focus on the tasks at hand and the project will succeed. And yes, I know if a task doesn't quite work, we just focus on the task even harder and then it will succeed.
That is definitely a myth, because it's people that actually pick up the tasks.
Yep.
So yeah, having
There
a
are no
temperature check.
projects without people.
No.
That at the bottom, that's the bottom line.
Yeah,
With
exactly.
through four people. That's why we run projects.
I love it. I love that reminder. Thank you so much, Ute, for today, and thank you for joining me on today's sip of coffee on Percolating Change. Where can people get hold of you? Where can they, if they want to?
LinkedIn is
LinkedIn.
the best way to reach out, and it's under my name, Ute Diversi, and I check it every day. I'm on LinkedIn every day.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much once again. And to our viewers and our audience, that's today's Sip on Percolating Change. If you've found this session useful, please like and subscribe and look out for more short episodes coming up.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
having
so
me.
much. You're welcome.